Hi everyone and welcome back to Gina C Creates. Today I'm going to show you how to create these spooky paper flowers for your next Halloween party. I got my inspiration from these flowers at the Dollar Tree and I wanted to create them bigger so you can use them as decorations. So here is a few supplies you will need to get started. I grabbed some ink pads from the Dollar Tree along with their foam brushes, and then I have their cardstock as well. I'm using one sheet of the dark purple, and then I have 2 sheets of the dark green, and then I have 13 sheets for the large paper flower, and it's a dark red. And then I have a black, which is optional. And you're going to need your glue gun, and we are going to use the eyeballs from the Dollar Tree as well. They're like ping pong balls in the Halloween section. And then you're going to need a permanent marker, some paint brushes, red and green paint, so we can make a giant eyeball out of the 3-inch Christmas ornament I also got at the Dollar Tree. Actually, I believe this ornament is 3.75 inches. And then we're going to need your Cricut mat and your Cricut, of course. In my download, I also have printable PDFs that you can make these without a cutting machine. So first I'm going to show you how to make the giant eyeball using a white Christmas ornament. This is plastic. I got it from the Dollar Tree, and you can take off the metal bracket. You won't need that. And then you can paint a green or whatever color eye you want to do, circle directly on top of it. And then you can let it dry so you can give it a couple coats till you get it to the way you like it. And then I just start brushing inward once I have my circle down, just so I could give it that look of an eyeball. And next you're going to take the red paint and we're just going to draw on these little squiggly lines to make it the red veins of your eyeball. And if you don't have any acrylic paint or you really don't like working with paint, you can also use permanent markers. I know the Dollar Tree has different colors as well that you can use instead of acrylic paint. So I'm just going to set this aside and let that dry after I did my green and red. So now I'm going to take a black permanent marker and I am going to add the outline to the eyeball color. So I'm just going to make a thick line all the way across, just kind of copying how the Dollar Tree ping pong eyeball looks. And then you draw a circle in the center. And then to give it a little bit more definition, we can add those black lines all the way around. So it's up to you how you want it to look. I'm just going to add a whole bunch of lines to give it more dimension, more of a scarier, a creepy look. So now we can set that aside and get started on our paper flower. You're going to download my template, and inside you'll find a folder for the large flower template and a mini flower template. And you'll get a DXF, you'll get the EPS, the PNG, and the SVG file. If you're on a Windows PC, the SVG file might display with the internet icon. And then I also include PDFs for all those who don't have a cutting machine. You can just print out the template and cut them out and trace them onto your cardstock and cut them by scissors. And for the mini paper flowers, I have the template as well, which is all on one page because it is a much smaller template. So to get started, I'm going to show you how to make these in Cricut Design Space. So you're just going to upload the 17-inch large flower. And the 17-inch means that's the final size of your flower when it's made. So when you import this, I don't know why Cricut Design Space never uploads the correct size. So you want to make sure it's 20 inches in width. And this is going to give you the 17-inch paper flower for your 3-inch and 3/4 of the eyeball. So you can ungroup the SVG, and for the small petal, We are going to copy and paste it 2 more times because you're going to need a total of 3. And then we are going to duplicate the leaves, and you can make how many as you want. And for the middle petal, we're going to make 5. So you're just going to duplicate it 4 more times so you can have the 5 petals. And for the large one, you're also going to do 5 petals as well. So you can also hit this icon up in this top right, and this will duplicate your flower petals. And after we have that, it's ready to cut. But I'm going to show you how to make the mini one as well. So you're just going to go back to your downloads folder and upload the SVG. And this also didn't upload the correct size. So we're going to go up and change it to 6 inches in width. And this will give you a 4-inch mini flower for the little ping pong eyeball. And then we are going to ungroup that SVG. And we're just basically going to do the same thing, but it's just on a much smaller scale. So you're going to need 5 of the petals for the large one, and then 5 for the medium and 3 for the small, and however leaves you want. And then you have the circle base that the flower petals are going to sit on. And you can also change the colors to suit your project. And now we're ready to click make it. And for these giant leaves, they do fit on an 8.5 by 11 paper, but Cricut Design Space did not let me choose the correct mat size, so I put it on a 12 by 24. So I'm just going to move them manually, and I'm still going to use the 12 by 12 mat. So I'm just going to press these 3 little dots and move it to a new mat. And then I'm just going to turn it so I know it fits in that 8.5 by 11 space. So just move your other leaves so you can make sure it's going to be on top of the paper. And then of course all of my mats are 12 by 24, so you need to change them to fit the paper and the mat that you're using. So I'm just going to use the 12 by 12 setting, but I'm using the 8.5 by 11 paper, so I'm just going to switch all of these to make sure they fit inside my 8.5 by 11 cardstock. And then you could just switch the petals to the 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and this will move all of them on their own page. And then you're ready to cut. And I am going to cut on cardstock plus because I'm using 65-pound in weight cardstock. So for your Cricut mat, you're going to want to make sure it is clean of debris, and you press it down. You can even use painter's tape to hold down the corners, and this will secure your cardstock in place when it's cutting. And once you have it cut out, you flip over and bend your mat back, and this will keep your cardstock pieces from curling up. Now we have all the cardstock pieces cut out. You have your base for your large flower. You have the 5 petals each of the medium and large, and the 3 for the small, and the same for the mini as well. And then you have your leaves for your arrangement. So next we're going to give it a cool little effect with the ink pads. And I'm just going to use a protective sheet like cardboard because it can get messy. And I just got these ink pads from Michaels. And they do have 2 different kinds that look very similar. My black one is a washable ink pad, and then the red one is a dye ink pad. And the dye ink pad is really strong, and it stays on your skin for a while, and it's not washable off your clothes. So I recommend the washable ink pads. They seem to work just fine for cardstock, and they dry pretty quick, and they don't leave a big mess on your hands. And if they do, they wash right off. So I'm just using a foam brush to dab on the ink. So I'm going to start at the top of the petal and kind of just smear it down, but not going all the way down, just halfway down the petal to give it a gradient look. And then I'm also going to use the black ink pad and do the very edges and the tip of the flower petal. And this will give it a grungy little Halloween look. And it does show up kind of blotchy, so you just want to make sure that your technique is light and you're going in a circular motion, because I noticed when I pressed hard I would get those blotchy ink spots. Um, so it's good to just make sure you're going very light. You don't need a lot of ink, and you can just smear it around in a circular motion. And you're just going to repeat the process for all the petals and do the front and back, because we're going to be curling them later. So you want to make sure that the other side is gradient as well. And I like how this purple one came out. It seemed to work better than the red dye, and it smeared pretty good and didn't give me a lot of blotches. And I just used the purple and the black on the edges. And then now we're going to do the same thing for the leaves. So I got the dark green dye and I'm just smearing it around my leaf. And then I go over with the black on the very edges to give it that grungy look. And it's for Halloween, so the grungier the better. And it's up to you if you want to flip it over and do the back for the leaves. It just really depends on how you're going to arrange these. So I added a little bit of color to the back of my leaves. So I let these all dry for about 10 minutes, and they did lighten up. You can't really tell on the camera, but in person, the colors did fade a little bit when they are completely dry. So next we're going to need a ruler or some kind of straight edge, and we're going to line it from the tip of the leaf to down the center of the stem, and we're just going to fold it over so we can give our leaf that texture. And we are going to do the same for the mini leaves as well. And next we're going to use a pair of scissors and cut down the middle on the bottom of the petals, so you can stack all 5 together and cut them at once. And you want to go up just a little past where the petal ends. And next we're going to use like a round tool, like a paintbrush or a wooden skewer or a dowel, and we're going to curl in the petal tips. So you just grab it at an angle on the corners, and then you can curl the center. And for the large paper flower, I'm using a skinny marker and just curling them the same way. So I'm curling the sides at an angle, and then the center loop I'm just curling down. And then you're going to want to repeat this for all of your flower petals. And then just make sure we cut the slits at the bottom, so you could just stack them and use a pair of scissors to go up. So the higher you go up, the more your flower petal is going to curl. So I just wouldn't go more than halfway up your petal. And then next we are going to assemble the paper flower with your hot glue gun. So you're going to add a dab of hot glue to the bottom of your petal, and then you're going to cross it over so your flower petal can curl up. And then you just place it down onto your flower base and spacing them out evenly. And then when you add the medium petals, you're just going to offset them to place them in the center of each of the petals in the back, and then until you get all the way around. And then for the smallest petal, there's only 3, so you're just going to space them out evenly for those 3. And then we're going to do the same thing for the large paper flower. So we're going to start with the base. You get the large paper flower and you put some glue on the bottom and you cross them over and you place it onto the base. So you just want, I put this one kind of close, so you want to space them out to where they have a little gap in between each petal, and this will make sure that they're evenly spaced. So you just add glue to the bottom, cross them over so they can curl, and place them around the base. Now that we have that first row done, we're going to do the medium paper flowers and just place the hot glue on one side and cross them over, and then place it in the center between two of the petals that are in the back. So if you want your flower to be open, you don't cross them over as tight and you don't make your slit as big. But if you want your flower to be curled up and closed, you can cut a longer slit and you can cross them over tight, and this will sit your petals up more to be closed. So now we're going to add the eyeballs, and we're just going to add some hot glue to the bottom and place it in the center of the paper flower. And then we're going to do the same thing for the ornament eyeball. And you can just add a generous amount of hot glue to this. And then you can even add more hot glue to the center of the paper flower and then push it down. And just make sure you hold it for a while until it dries. And you're done. You can arrange them how you like. You can add some hooks and adhesive to the back so you can hang them and arrange them for your next Halloween party. Let me know what you think down in the comments.